get ready because we're taking you inside Castle Grayskull. That's right. Today we have a special toy room tour of yours truly very own toy room. That's right. We're going into the Toy Sorceress toy room today on a special edition of Toy Habits.
And before we dive into the review, smash that like button, turn on notifications, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss a beat.
We're headed in to the Toy Sorceress toy room right here on our special edition of Toy Habits Behind the Scenes Tour. This is my office where I film my YouTube videos and I do my live streams with Michael. That's the desk I sit at, and here's my view. I get to see a whole bunch of toys in front of me, and I get very excited about all the things we talk about on our live streams. And you may all recognize the view behind me. That is Eternia, and typically that's what you see when I'm on Toy Habits Live. So we'll do a quick tour around the room first, and then we'll start diving into the awesome details. So this is the connecting room, and this room I focused more on vintage toys. You'll see the collections are a lot more organized together, and then I've got a glass case for my special stuff. But we'll take a quick look around just so you get an idea. There I am. And going back into the main office, we'll flip back around and we're going to start diving in. Let's go one section at a time, shall we? So we'll take a look at this first set of Billy bookcases here and take you quickly through them. As you can see on top, these are the Mattel Motu Giants. They came out in the early 2000s, I believe. You have Beastman and Man-at-Arms there. A couple of vintage vehicles, the laser bolt, and the sled there. That's 40th anniversary Masterverse set from San Diego Comic-Con. I believe that was from last year, if I'm not mistaken. And here we have the giant Mattel version of He-Man, but you'll notice the head on him actually looks really good. And the original one came with a remold of the commemorative version of He-Man's head, and that one had a really light sculpt. So this is actually a custom head that I had made for this figure. Of course, we have the PowerCon exclusive Leo Faker and Duplicat from 2021. Then moving down the Billy bookcase, we have the Motu Origins Snake Mountain, full of Origins figures. These are just some of my favorites to adorn Snake Mountain because I've got several Origins displays. So this is a lot of fun to actually get to display this here. And I think it looks pretty cool. I'll pan back for a second because I've got Snake Mountain on one side and then Castle Grayskull on the other. Continuing down the Billy bookcase, we have my vintage Superpowers collection. And here you can see Clark Kent inside a phone booth, and that's from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I thought it was a good reuse of that phone booth for Clark Kent to do his old switcheroo into Superman. And then a whole bunch of very cool vintage Superpowers figures. Some of these are my childhood survivors. That Aquaman there is my childhood survivor, along with Hawkman and that Green Lantern, which I believe was my sister's, and I got in a trade or division of stuff back when we were at college, and we kind of separated our toys. So now I inherited Green Lantern. But this is my Superpowers collection here. It continues down on the next shelf, and on this shelf I kind of mixed in a couple of modern figures as well. But you can see Calabac over here, and we have a Superman in a Supermobile, Lex Luthor back there. That is the McFarlane Chase vintage color Hawkman that Michael actually found for me at a Target, which was very awesome. And that one is apparently really hard to find, and he just happened to come across it on the end of an end cap at Target. And then we have a couple of McFarlane figures there. These are from DC Super Friends back in the 90s, I believe. These 7-inch figures were released. And right here, my vintage Batmobile with Batman and Robin. And of course, you can't have Batman and Robin without the Penguin and Joker hanging out next to him. Next up on this Billy bookcase is my Masterverse figures. And now this is not my entire Masterverse collection, but just some of my favorites, because the Masterverse collection is getting really big. And so I dedicated 2 shelves for these guys, and I'm kind of rotating out who's getting to be displayed on here. So these are just some of my favorites. Okay, now we're going to move up to this smaller, thinner Billy bookcase, the Skinny Billy. And up here I've got some nacelle figures of Mad Balls and Barnyard Commandos. There's one, another one in the back. You can see Sergeant Wooly back there. And then 2 of the new 9 to 5 Warriors on there. And so I kind of group these together with what's on the next shelf, which I absolutely love. I adore these. These are the Food Fighters from the 1980s. You know, if Pixel Dan gets to see this video, I don't doubt he'll watch it, but I know he's a huge fan. So Pixel Dan, I love your Food Fighters collection. I've been a fan for a long time of this line, and totally love it. I did have a Sergeant Pizza and several of these when I was a kid. Taco Terror, Major Munch over there. And I believe I had a Lieutenant Leg as well. My sister had Brigadier General over there, and probably a couple others. But these are all ones I've replaced starting several years back. They're quite expensive now, and so getting really hard to find in good condition. But I love these guys. Moving down the next shelf, we have my Karate Kid figures from Remco from the 1980s. And these are just some of the Karate Kid figures I have. I do have a couple other variations of Daniel and Johnny, and also Mr. Miyagi there. But, you know, I wanted this to represent the really cool scene at the end of the Karate Kid, where they're at the All Valley Karate Championship, going at it, you know, at the end of the movie. And all right, coming up on the next shelf, we have Just the Good Old Boys. These are my Dukes of Hazzard collection. I totally love these. Always loved the show as a kid. These are my Dukes of Hazzard Migos, which I adore. And I have most of them. I think I'm missing just Cletus and Daisy Duke. These are getting really hard to find, so I had to, you know, go ahead and track those 2 down so I can complete the collection. Uncle Jesse is actually really hard to get to. And I was lucky enough to buy them years ago when I was in college, and he wasn't that expensive, and now it's probably a fortune on the aftermarket. And then these are like 8-inch Migos style figures from the Figure Toy Company, I believe. They did a line of Dukes of Hazzard figures as well. And I'm missing Daisy Duke and Cletus as well. So I gotta get both of them. I don't know how they never went into my collection, but those are the ones I'm missing. But absolutely love these Migos. All right, heading the next shelf down. This is you got it. It's the Hoff. The Hoff himself, Knight Rider. So this is a 1980s Knight Rider car that talks, with the driver inside. That he came with Michael Knight, of course. So that is the Hoff right there. And then we have a couple reaction figures from Super 7. just as a nice backdrop with this display. Next shelf down is my small collection of vintage Dick Tracy figures. I love these. I had these as a kid. They brought back some nostalgic memories, so I was able to track down a really cheap auction with a bunch of these. And so I bought it because they were in excellent condition. Just really love them. Next up, we have some classic Star Trek figures. These are from Playmates. And again, some like Megos and some Bendies back there of Captain Kirk and Dr. Spock, and just some classic figures. So I really love those. And then down at the bottom, we have Muscles from the 1980s. These little flesh-colored wrestler guys, and then the muscle arena there, all intact. So it's always fun to play with those. So that was the first Billy. So we'll take a look at these. These are my vintage Masters of the Universe figures. I do have more, but these are just my favorite. And you can see Mosquitor and Ninjor, and we got Scareglow complete there. He's in really, really nice condition. You can see there. And this is actually a custom flocked Beastman. I do have a regular Beastman as well, but I really love the flocked version, so I put him out. Triclops, Merman, and of course we have Skelly on Panther and the original vintage He-Man on Battle Cat. Then there's Orko with his coins, and I really love this little display. I bought it on eBay. There is a custom person who makes these custom stands for Orko. You can track them down, and then these I think are mostly all original coins. There might be one or two that are repo just because I didn't have all of them, but the display piece holds them very nicely. And of course we have our back metal Flying Fist He-Man, and my favorites right here. We got Randy, King Randor himself, and oh, look at that, that's me. That is the Sorceress, the Toy Sorceress that you see on all of the avatars on my Instagram page and on YouTube and everywhere else. This is her. That's the actual Sorceress that is pictured on my avatars. And then we have here Prince Adam, and of course Real Blast, and who could forget Mossy? I love, love, love Mossy, one of my favorite figures, and Tila. So that is my kind of special vintage display shelf with this nice little canvas print up above. And then we're going to go through the other vintage Motu. All right, so now moving on to this next section of Billy's. Should go a little faster, but here's my vintage Motu figures up on top, and you can see various different figures up here. We got Fisto, Rock-On, another He-Man riding an attack truck, and that attack truck actually still works. It's motorized. And also the Dragon Walker here with Battle Armor He-Man riding on top of it, because you got to have Battle Armor He-Man on top of the Dragon Walker, and the Dragon Walker works as well. And I got Zodek chilling in his chair, and a couple baddies over here, and then this is a vintage Castle Grayskull complete. Yep, with everything, all of the original cardboards and flags, everything in here. All these guys. Here's my vintage Grizzlor, love him. There you can see the weapons rack, and a vintage Road Ripper with, of course, Mechanic riding it, because he has to be. And then one more thing I wanted to point out, I also do have a custom flocked Stratos there. I think it might have been the same person who sold the custom flocked Beastman, I'm not sure, but he's really cool, so I wanted to display him. And I do have a vintage regular Stratos, but wanted to put that guy in display. So you can see those really cool vintage Motu on top. I do have some other pieces. I don't have them all on display, but you'll see a little bit more vintage Motu shortly. Okay, now moving on to the Heroic Warriors Origins shelf. So this is the Origins Castle Grayskull, with of course Sorceress has to be on top. She is watching over the castle, and we got Cyclone here and a couple of more good guys. I totally love these. They look amazing. Of course, here is my favorite, King Randor, and you know what? He's saying, have it your way. Of course, because he's holding a burger. It's the Burger King, guys. Totally love that. So I do have another King Randor, but this one is the Burger King, and he's serving up burgers in front of Castle Grayskull. And of course, here is Mossy, because I love Mossy. And Fisto is riding Strider back there, and of course we got the knight guarding the back of the castle. So, and who could forget Buzz-Off hanging for dear life on the side of Castle Grayskull. Next up, we have my Motu Origins Cartoon Collection shelf with all of the latest Cartoon Collection figures that have been released so far. But you'll see there are some additional characters here, like She-Ra and Buzz-Off, and Prince Adam and Hordak, and of course Evil Lyn back there, and Orko. Those are all from the Super 7 line, 5.5 inch vintage figures. I figured they look really nice here, and until Mattel releases them in the Cartoon Collection, they made a nice fill-in for those characters until they get released. Then we have my Turtles of Grayskull shelf, the wood shelf that I am collecting. I'm cherry picking this line. Just picked up Slash here. Big shout out and thanks to Jason Tran for sending me this really awesome Krang, and Mossman, mutated Mossman back there as well. But yeah, this line is growing, but they're only going to get one shelf on my display because it's all I have room for. Next up is some DC McFarlane figures. Okay, it's got the Green Lantern and Superman and Firestorm Flash. And here we have, this was a really nice version. I think it might have been a DC Classics of Aquaman. He came in a 3-pack. I really liked him. But he looks really nice riding his seahorse. So that was the Aquaman of choice for me to have riding the seahorse, because I think this version of him looks really cute. And then a couple more figures, Batman, Robin, Riddler, and the rest. And next up is just a nice display here I've always wanted to do of all of the Motu Origins Rulers of the Sun. And I think they look really incredible together, displayed in one collection, which is pretty awesome. So I love how those look. And then moving down the shelf, we have my vintage Princess of Power figures. I absolutely love these. Growing up as a kid, I only had She-Ra. I didn't have any of the other figures. I've always wanted them, and so this is a line that I'm slowly acquiring more of. Peekaboo, I got Glimmer, Frosta back there, she's hiding in the back, and of course Bo, and who could forget Swifty and Cowl. So totally love those. And then I was lucky enough to somehow come across an amazing auction for Claudine in the box and Catra. And Catra's package was very yellowed, so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to open her. Claudine already had kind of an open package. It was brand new inside, so I decided to display them together as they should be. Next up are some Black Series Star Wars figures. You can see that very cool Jabba the Hutt on his drone. That one just got released. Really like him. Love the Gamorrean guard with his furry shorts. That one's awesome. And then I have one shelf for all of our heroes and one shelf for the baddies. Moving around the corner to another skinny silly bookcase, we have my slowly growing Super 7 Ultimates collection of G.I. Joes. Love these, all Simbo inspired. Next up we have the Silver Fox and some of the core team here. But you can see Steelheart is missing, because I ordered the back metal version of her. So as soon as that comes out, I will be placing her on the shelf, and then also replacing this cartoon version of Quicksilver with his back metal version as well. And then when Copper Kid gets released, the core team will be complete, which is really awesome. Then moving down the next shelf, we have our Silverhawks baddies, and a big thank you to Michael for Buzzsaw and transformed Monstar there, as well as Monstar's throne. Those were gifts from Michael, and so it really completed my my baddie shelf. I think they look great. Next up here is the Black Series, or Adventure Series, sorry, of Indiana Jones. And it's too bad this line got cut short, but I think the figures look absolutely gorgeous. I mean, like, Indy looks great. I'm glad we got the Last Crusade version, and I'm glad we finally got the Professor as well. His dad had to have Sean Connery, absolutely. And then moving down is the retro versions of the old Kenner Indiana Jones line. Okay, moving on. Next to that shelf, I've got some Gentle Giants here. Admiral Akbar and this special edition of Luke Skywalker without his helmet, which I think looks really cool. Love that. And then this is that original SDCC exclusive 2-pack Prince Adam and He-Man 2-pack that came out, the first Origins release back in the day. I totally love that set. Vintage jumbo case. I store miscellaneous vintage vehicles and stuff like that. So I got a couple more vintage shoes hanging out over here next door, hanging out. And then there's a battle troll there. And then here you can see a couple vintage Remco Pirates of the Galaxy, which I totally love. This guy's really cool. I had to replace their accessories, but their accessories are super expensive, so these are just kind of some random accessories they're holding. And then this guy had no shirt when I bought him, so I made him a little outfit. So that's totally a custom made outfit by the Toy Sorceress. And then behind them is the commemorative from the, I think around 2000, He-Man and Battle Cat set from Mattel. So I totally love that. And then we'll go moving down the shelf. And then down here, we have some more baddies, vintage figures, Whiplash, Trapjaw, we got Faker back there, Jitsu, Terraclaw, Skeletor, and Tongue Lasher. They look really cool. And then next to those is my growing collection of Remco Warrior Beasts and Warlord and Hercules. I'm kind of really getting into these vintage 5.5 inch figures. Really love them, and that's a Crystar dragon that the gecko, the green gecko, is riding on top of. Totally love the purple gecko. Like, he's super cute, so he's one of my favorites in this line. And then you can see Warlord here, and then this is a two-headed Imperial dragon. It's got a nice little harness there for Hercules to ride on. And then moving down the shelf, we have vintage Advanced Dungeons and Dragons figures. So a whole bunch of these guys. I'm not going to go through all their names. And then that is the NECA homage figure of Warduke in his vintage colors back there. And that's the box for this Super 7 reaction figure right here. So that's the Formidable Fighter. Very cool. And these are just some random dragons that I picked up on eBay that I thought looked really nice for these guys to be riding on. So just moving on underneath that, again, a couple more NECA Dungeons and Dragons figures. And then next to them are the rest of my Super 7 vintage 5.5 style figures. And then moving up the shelf, and it's these guys. Of course, these are my Brave Star figures, a slowly growing collection. I absolutely love the Marshall. He's one of my favorites. And then I forget the company that released this new version of the Marshall. It looks really cool. And we got Handlebar back there and Tex Hex, both missing their accessories, but this collection is one that's growing slowly. And we have a vintage Lone Ranger on his horse right here, so I just thought he looked good with the rest of the temple. Then at the bottom of the shelf, there is some Mezco, Spider-Man, and Green Goblin, which looks really cool, and then Street Fighter figures from Jada Toys. I only have these 3 so far. I'll be collecting more as they come out. Alright, so moving away from this displays, and you just saw these 2 right here. I'm just going to do a quick flyby my desk where I do my YouTube videos. They're in the way. I sometimes grab these things during live streams just for fun. You never know what's going to pop up on the screen. I have not brought myself to open these guys yet, but I really need to. They came with Eternia, of course, King Grayskull, and Modi there. Modi wants out of his box. I just haven't gotten around to it. And here is my printer behind me, and that is just an extra Lion-O that the Baroness of Toys actually gifted me so that he could ride in that vintage Thunder Tank. And of course, we've got Prince Adam on the Sky Sled there. So just moving quickly across this wall, I'm just going to zoom back, but you'll be able to see my Eternia display. I'm going to pull back a little bit so you get the breadth of it. So that's the Eternia display on my desk that sits behind me. And then I've got Ewok Village and Millennium Falcon, but we'll zoom in on all this stuff as well as my Thundercats collection up above. Alright, so zooming in, you can see the new 40th anniversary Voltron here that just came out from Target exclusive, and then a variety of Motu Origins figures. That's Eldor from Super 7. Of course, the Sorceress is guarding Grayskull Tower, as she should be, on Eternia here. And my favorite, I need a hero, looking out for a hero. He's gotta be strong, he's gotta be fast, he's gotta be really right. Alright, that's all you're getting in terms of music from me. The hero is guarding Eternia at the entrance. Totally love it. I got some guys hanging here, the Grizzler, and of course, Webstore has to be hanging. And my favorite right here, is guarding the top of Eternia Tower, and Randy has a custom cake from the Cake Master, the soft goods one, which I think looks really nice on him. So he's there, and this is, obviously that was the Heroic Warrior side next to Grayskull Tower, and then moving over to the other side with the Evil Warriors next to Viper Tower. We have some of my other Motu Origins figures. That is Motu Origins Triclops with a vintage set of armor and a vintage Triclops head, just because I really love the sculpt, and so I made myself a little custom there. And then, Skelly and the rest of the game, we got Merman chilling back here on the Land Shark. So that is my Eternia display. Moving up the wall from Eternia, then we have some more Gentle Giants. Chewie, Bespin Luke, and then I have my shelf here of vintage Thundercats, and then this right here, I have to point out that the Baroness of Toys gave me this Lion-O many years ago as a gift. It was the first thing she ever bought on eBay. I cherish this Lion-O. He is the absolute jewel of my collection in terms of nostalgia, and one of the things I love the most. And so this Lion-O means a lot to me. And so he has a coveted spot right behind me during our live streams. And then here is my vintage Thundercats. Yet another version of Lion-O there with the red hair, but I acquired him later. My absolute fave here of a holy grail that I got to finally find after many years was Jaga. I don't know how I tracked down one in such nice condition, but he is, and I absolutely had to get the core team together in terms of the vintage figures, so I love those. And then next to those are my Super 7 Ultimates, Thundercats, and of course this is the LJN inspired versions of Chitara and Lion-O, and I totally love this Lion-O, so I have a second one which is piloting my Thunder Tank, which is in the other room, and we'll take a look at that a little bit later. Totally love Bengali. I did a review on him for our Toy Habits website and had so much fun doing that. And then, of course, the rest of the baddies. On this side, and a couple more Gentle Giants. We got the Han and Bespin outfit and Lando Calrissian. So that transitions us onto this next shelf down here, which I'll zoom in closely. So this starts off my vintage Star Wars collection. I have a much more extensive collection in the other vintage collection room. So here is my Ewok village with a variety of figures adorning it. You can see here, and then this is that new bunker that was released by Hasbro not too long ago, but I thought it was apropos in this display, so I included it. Why not? And of course the Emperor here, flanked by his Emperor's Royal Guards, which is really cool. And who could forget C-3PO being carried on his little branch throne here by two of the Ewoks. So I think this looks really cool. And then this was a grail of mine to acquire a complete Millennium Falcon, vintage Millennium Falcon. I totally love it. I even have this little Energizer mechanic set, which is very cool with all the little tools. So these guys look awesome. I love that. And if you're wondering, right here, that is a Stan Solo version of Boba Fett. So I do have a couple Stan Solo figures. And then this is a custom Lando Calrissian, also in his Millennium Falcon outfit, because he's helping repair it. And if I open this very ever so carefully, which I probably knocked stuff over, but let's see if I can get that thing open. You can see inside, yes, if you're all wondering, the training ball is in there, and so is the chess table. So it is complete, absolutely complete. So I totally love that. All right, we're gonna move into the vintage toy room in just a second. Before we get into the next room, this is a poster for Eternia that came with the Eternia playset, and next to it, you'll notice one of those vintage Masters of the Universe female walk-ons, which I totally love. And so this is where the connecting room is. So this, okay, as we make our way into toy room number 2, I've got some various things on the wall. This nice Super Friends wood plaque display, and the figure toy company Aquaman there, because I really love him. He looks like his Superpowers, or Super Friends version of him, or Superpowers, I'm sorry. That's right. So that is the Aquaman from Figures Toy Company. He looks like his Superpowers version. And this really cool American Frontier figure. I don't know, I just was really drawn to him. Found him at Frankenstein's, so had to have him. And then I love this this poster here of Spirit. This was the art that was on the G.I. Joe Classified series of Spirit, so I bought the poster and framed it. And then a Gentle Giant here of a Stalker. So we'll flip around and pan around in the room for a second. Here is where we walked in, and I'll have various displays. These are segregated into different genres, so we'll go through them. But you can see here, mostly my vintage toy collection, and everything is sitting on this side of the room. And then we have a closet and some more storage up above. So we're gonna go shelf by shelf through here too. Okay, starting with my TMNT section. These are all my Mutant Mayhem figures on the new Ninja Turtles sewer layer playset. Probably love this. And then this is the Loyal Subjects Android Body Krang. I just thought he looked cool on there, so I put him on there. I think he looks really neat, and I love these figures. I'm still waiting for the next wave. I think Ray Fillet is going to be in that one, so can't wait for that. Next shelf is my Super 7 Ultimates TMNT collection, and I just acquired this block Splinter, which I totally love. Leatherhead right there is one of my favorites. He's very cool. Of course, I don't know if you guys saw the review I did on Genghis Frog, but he's pretty awesome. We love that he has Ray-Bans and a boogie board, which is super cool. And of course, next to him is Surfing Mikey, because Cowabunga dude, you have to have the two surfing dudes next to each other, so that's how they're on display. And I have the four brothers in front here, and then one of my first turtle variants of Space Ace Ralph, which looks really cool. And of course, I can't afford to have a Scratch the Cat, so my only version of Scratch is going to be the Super 7 version, but I still love it. I think it's super cool, and I love his ape gun. It's freaking hilarious. And then, of course, we have Fang in his little bubble walker, which is awesome. And then these two guys, the best sculpts, I think, in the line, absolutely great. Bebop and Rocksteady, you can't love those. Those are a must-have for the Super 7. Moving down the shelf, we've got my vintage TMNT collection from Playmates. Totally love these, just a random smattering of figures. And then this is a reissue of the Turtle Van. I don't have a Turtle Van, but the four brothers are vintage. You know, Chef there is vintage. All these guys here are vintage. So totally love these. I think that Rachel is the reissue. So the rest of these are vintage figures. I love this movie version, this vintage movie version of Splinter. He's blocked. He's very cute. I actually do have the other version, the original version of Splinter, but I decided to display this one instead because I only had room for one Splinter, and I think he's great. And then Samurai Leo here snuck on the shelf from Super 7 because I had nowhere else to put him, and that is a vintage Ace Duck. And then flanked behind these vintage figures are the reissues on their card backs, but I just thought they looked cool on display. And then we'll move down to the next shelf. Then on the bottom shelf, I've got kind of a mixture of stuff. So I have some Mutant Mayhem figures, I've got some NECA stuff, and then some reissue sports figures. So I'll just kind of run through these. You can see the Turtles in Disguise, Mutant Mayhem figures, the reissue of the Playmates superhero Turtles, the reissue of the sports Turtles there. And that's actually a vintage Ralph baseball one, which I really love. And then here is some NECA figures set up behind. I did get little baby turtles, which I think look really cute. They're totally adorable. I got Splinter back there, and then I just got Bebop and Rocksteady recently. I did acquire a couple other NECA figures, I just haven't put them on display yet. And then, of course, this is the new Mutant Mayhem Turtle Van with the brothers driving and Donnie chilling on top. So that's those. And then the new Giants from Mutant Mayhem are hanging out on top of some pits. So from the Turtle shelf, we're going to move on to some Motu Classics and some Ghostbusters. So we'll go through those. Got some Motu Classics up here. These are all, we got Titus up here, but the Classics version I can't afford to buy any gift right on top of the shelf. Next down are kind of more specialized He-Man and Skeletor sets. These are Power He-Man, like Skeletor. Then we got some Galactic heroes here from the New Adventures of He-Man, which I really love. These figures, these look really great together. And then moving down the next shelf is my Club Grayskull figures from Super 7 and the Motu Classics line. Of course, She-Ra is riding on Swifty next to Cowl. And look here, we found Lookie. You gotta find Lookie when you're watching She-Ra, right? And we got Bo on Arrow right there. Totally love this version of Fisto. I think he looks great. And of course, we have to have the Sorceress and various other figures. And then I wanted to display just some other random Mochi Classics figures that I didn't have space for in the next shelf. So you see like Ninjor, Mantenna, and Too-Bad over there. And here, of course, we do have Prince Adam hanging out with his buddy Cringer. Kind of pick and choose what to put on display. I do have some other figures that are not out here, but I think these look great. This Mochi Classics line is never going to be replicated. It's a special moment in time, but totally love these. And here's Randy, because I totally love Randor. My favorite version here of He-Man with this head that came in that large pack, but I think this is the best 7 or 6 inch version of He-Man's head sculpt thus far. And then, of course, we have Hero, which is the thing that brought me and Michael together. That green gem right there that Hero is holding, Michael and I met through a trade for that green gem, and the rest is history. And then underneath my Mochi Classics shelf, I have my Ghostbusters collection. So this is a mix of some vintage figures and reissue figures. So got reissues of the Ghostbusters 4 heroes on their card in the back, and then I got some other random ghosties and stuff. So My Pet Monster, and this is, hey, how'd that guy get there? He snuck in from Scooby-Doo. That's the ghost from Scooby-Doo, and of course we got Gizmo hanging out back there, but I just thought like it was good. Oh my god, look at that, that's E.T. E.T. snuck in the shelf too. Of course, some other baddies there, and Slimer's hanging out. So these are the reissues, and the reissue of the Ecto-1, and of course a brand new shiny reissue Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, because I totally love him and wanted a nice clean white one. And then we'll move down to the vintage shelf next. Moving down to the vintage shelf, I have a smattering of like Fight Feature Ghostbusters and some Ecto Ghostbusters. There's some other little random, mini puff figs. And these here are the 4 vintage heroes trying to blast my vintage Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So that's super cute. And then these are the reissues of the Fight Feature guys, but they're hanging out together on the shelf. Back behind are the reissues of the Fight Features reissue of Stay Puft. And right here is a very cute vintage plushy Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Totally love him, had to add him to my collection. I'm so happy that I did. And then down below are some more, kind of more modern versions of the Ghostbusters. You can see a whole bunch of the mini puffs and Slimers kind of invaded this new version from Frozen Empire of the Ecto-1. Oh, and look at that, E.T., you snuck in here again. Look at you, little devil. And then these are from Mego, the 4 brothers, in their little soft kids outfit, and a couple more Slimers and Stay Puft Marshmallow. Okay, so next to the Mochi Classics and Ghostbusters shelf, we have my vintage Star Wars shelf. We'll be starting from the top here and taking a look. These are all vintage on this whole display here, but that is a vintage TIE Fighter, still looking pretty nice and clean. And this is actually a Stan Solo C-3PO and R2-D2 from the ceremony at the end of A New Hope. So I thought these were very nice looking figures, so I did pick those up from Stan Solo, as well as a Stan Solo gunner figure. Next to an Imperial, I think this is Darth Vader's version of the TIE Fighter, so I think this one looks... Moving down to the next shelf, I have my vintage X-Wing and a vintage Snow Speeder with Luke riding there, and that is the retro Snow Speeder Luke on the shelf there. And curiously enough, I've had this little Yoda here in a gold coat in my collection of vintage figures for many years, well before any repro items were available or even being made. I'd say since the very early 90s, and I still don't know where this Yoda with the gold coat came from, but I absolutely love him. He is missing a snake, but he's still really cute. And we'll move down to the next New Hope shelf. We have my kind of like the New Hope themed shelf with a couple Rebel troopers here. These are custom figures that I acquired some years back. And then this is a Pro Customs Sand Trooper riding on top of the Dewback. And here we have a Stan Solo Creations Bantha with a vintage Tusken Raider riding on the back. I absolutely love this Bantha. He totally looks like something that Kenner would have created back in the day. A couple new modern Tusken Warriors there. Some Stan Solo Creations vintage style vinyl shaped Jawas in the back. And then this is a Stan Solo Creations Ubrikian 9000 land speeder, which is a really cool vehicle. It looks like Kenner totally would have made it. And a vintage land speeder. And it looks like a Tusken Raider there is causing some havoc in the engine compartment. Moving down to the next shelf, I have kind of my vintage first 12 and Dagobah display. So this is my vintage Dagobah playset with Darth Vader lurking in the background, and of course Yoda is training his young Padawan there, Bespin Luke, next to his hut. And then this is my rendition of the first 12 action figures from Kenner. So we got Jawa, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Stormtrooper, Darth Vader, R2-D2, Luke, Leia, Chewie, Smallhead Han, Death Squad Commander, C-3PO, and of course Tusken Raider with a artwork background displaying that first 12 group behind them. Then as we move down to the next shelf, my absolute pride and joy of my Star Wars collection, which I totally love because they're adorable, is my 12-inch figures of, or dolls, whatever you want to call them, Star Wars figures. And I totally love these. It took me many years to acquire all of them, but I eventually did. I'm still missing the IG-88. It's the only one I'm missing. The rest of these are complete. We got Chewie and Han there, and Leia and Luke, and of course C-3PO and R2-D2. And yes, R2 does have his Death Star plans in the little compartment behind him. And then you can see Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then, hey, what's this? They never made a X-Wing Luke and Bespin Luke in the vintage line. No, those are two customs I made. I acquired some vintage Luke Skywalker dolls that their outfits were in pretty poor condition. And then I used the more modern X-Wing Luke and Bespin Luke outfits from the figures that came out in the 1990s and made my own custom versions of them. And of course, we have a complete Boba Fett here in the back. He is getting very hard to find complete, and getting quite expensive on the aftermarket. And of course, Darth and a Stormtrooper and Jawa. So those are my 12-inch figures. Moving down to the next shelf underneath the 12-inch figures is my play sets from Kenner. So here we have the Cantina with a bevy of aliens, and you'll see there are a couple customs. This one is the Snout, I forget exactly his name, the Snout Spy from Stan Solo Creations, and this is a custom version of Greedo of how he appeared, more like his movie version, so I thought he looks really cool. And then this is the Death Star Escape playset from Palatoy from a very cool custom playset maker. He's coming out with all sorts of other custom playsets. I did do a review on this on toyhabits.com, so be sure to check it out. But this playset is really cool. It is like a vintage homage to the old Palatoy line, and you can see like this vintage artwork in the background, which is very cool. And it's just basically, blow mold plastic with some cardboard inserts and some little other cardboard pieces sticking out. But you can see there's a couple stormtroopers on the other side guarding Obi-Wan when he's trying to turn off the tractor beam. But this is very cool. This is a really awesome scene, of course, when they're trying to rescue the princess from the prison level, and they go in fake in their stormtrooper outfits with Chewie disguised as a prisoner. And if you're wondering, that is a Stan Solo Han in stormtrooper disguise, and Stan Solo Luke in stormtrooper disguise as well. So then we're going to move down to the next playset shelf. Moving down from my New Hope playset shelf, we now are entering the world of Hot. So I've got a couple of Tauntauns here with Luke and Han riding their Tauntauns. A couple little mini rigs back here with a nice Wampa. And again, these are some retro carded figures in the background, just because I thought it would look really nice. And then my twin cloud car set with a couple of pilots riding inside. Some nuts out here, and of course we have to have Lando Billy D hanging out with the Lobot. So these are really cool. And then we'll move down to the next shelf, which is some more Hoth sets. So this is the Echo Base playset here. And here you'll see a couple more Stan Solo droids. I think they looked really cool. These are the ones that were in the movie, if you remember, at Echo Base. So I thought they looked great in this playset here. And then this is the robot probe droid and turret playset with some retro versions of Hoth Han and Hoth Leia, which I recreated the original prototype paint schemes on. So I thought those looked really cool. Then we're going to move down to the next shelf, which is kind of a little bit of Empire and Return of the Jedi. So here we have the Slave One with our bevy of bounty hunters taking Han away in his block of carbonite, where he's going to eventually end up at Jabba's palace, hanging there in the background. Then these are, of course, vintage versions of all of Jabba's baddies, except for that the yak piece. So that's actually a Stan Solo version that I bought many years ago before the retro version came out, and that's a Stan Solo Han and Carbonite, which Han is back there, which is hard to see. I couldn't afford to get the originals of those two, so I had to get the Stan Solo Creations ones, but they are lovely. So that, in a nutshell, is my vintage Star Wars shelf. And now we're going to be moving on to the glass case. Alright, so in the center of my display room, I've got this glass case, and I figured I should have one glass case for just some one-off pieces that are special to me. Not necessarily that they're expensive, but just because they're special, or they're kind of one-offs that I wanted to highlight in my display. So we're going to start to take a look at those in just a second. So starting from the top here, we have just some random items. We got Captain Power, some 12-inch G.I. Joes, Street Fighter 12-inch figures, Mezco, Destro. That's a whole container full of Viewmasters there. Some reissue Migos, and then this is the Mezco Christopher Reeve action figure, which looks absolutely amazing. I totally love that version of him. These are just ones that I put on my top shelf, and we'll be moving down the front. So I'm going to quickly pan down the glass display, but let's go ahead and open it so we don't have a glare and you can see the amazing figures inside. So we'll go one shelf at a time. This, starting on this corner, is my prized possession, which is Mego Linda Carter Wonder Woman, both version 1 and version 2. Version 1 is her dressed in, that comes with her Diana Prince outfit. It's still in the box. The box is in poor condition, but the doll is still packaged and complete. And then this is version 2 of her with the soft goods outfit instead of like the version 1 that has like kind of painted body outfit. I love both of them. I had to have them both in my collection, so yeah, I do. Here are some vintage and modern Sesame Street figures. You can see a couple of Super 7 reaction ones there. And then moving over, we have my Mego Chips figures, which I totally love. And we got Mork from Ork right here with Mork's little Mego figure. Nanu! Of course. I love this Mork. My husband actually got me him for a birthday gift. I adore this Mork figure, and so he has a special place in my heart and in my collection because my hubby gave it to me for a birthday gift. So Nanu honey, I love Mork. Thank you so much for him. And then moving back here, we have a variety of Adventure Team Joes. These are the Walmart exclusive reissues. These three right here, Air, Land, and Sea Adventurers. They came out, I think, in the early 2000s. This other G.I. Joe reissue pilot, I don't know what year he's from. And next to my Adventure Team Joes, you will notice these custom G.I. Joe Classified Series scale Adventure Team figures with block heads. They were custom made for me by G.I. Joe AT on YouTube, or Build a Diorama 2 on Instagram. We did do a review on these Adventure Team figures on the Toy Habits website on toyhabits.com, so be sure to check them out. Huge shout out to Angelo. Thank you so much for making these figures for me. They look incredible. I absolutely adore them, and I had to have G.I. Joe Classified Series scale Adventure Team figures to go with my Adventure Team 12-inch, so totally love those. And then got some other kind of little random figures in front of those, and then we'll move down the next shelf. Moving down to the next shelf, I've got some vintage Megos here. Totally love them. Superman, Hulk, we got the Joker back here, and Captain America, and of course Aqui, and I love the Spider-Man, so he's very cool. And then behind those guys, we have the only 3 carded vintage Motu figures that I own. Stinkor back here. Of course, I had to have the Sorceress, and I do have Randy back here that is hiding behind Mr. T, but a couple, carded Motu figures. And then here are my vintage Silverhawks, which I totally love and adore. Still, their back metal is in great condition, so I totally love these. And then kind of a random collection of Rambo and Mr. T. So that's a custom Mr. T classified figure that I made. And then vintage A-Team Mr. T in the background, and WWE Superstars Mr. T, the vintage 12-inch Mr. T doll, and then a couple Rambo figures. And then these are some pins I actually got on Etsy. Some custom pins, which are very cool, of Silverhawks. And I have a couple more Thundercats ones in the next shelf. Moving down from the next shelf, we have my Mondo figures here, and then just moving across, 2 versions of He-Man, and first Skeletor, regular version of He-Man, and She-Ra with cowl. These pins were from PowerCon 2021, the only PowerCon I got to attend, and then behind them are a series of carded commemorative figures. They're hard to see, but we got Mossman, He-Man, Battle Armor, He-Man in the background back there, and then Triceratops. And then I do have this vintage Snarf as well in the background here. Let's just move this out of the way. You can see him Snarf on card, and that is from Taboo's collection from the Black Eyed Peas, because he did have some toys for sale at my local comic shop, and so I picked up a couple pieces. And who knew? Taboo is a big vintage toy collector, so I did get some stuff from him. And then finally, on my bottom shelf here, I have kind of some random stuff. some Welcome Back Carter, some McDonald's Land glasses, and carded Ronald there, a vintage style Super 7 Voltron. That is a Chuck Norris Ninja, new Nacelle, Sectars. That is a very cute Popeye, and some original Power Rangers, the only ones I'll probably ever own. We got Evel Knievel there, and some Rocketeer stuff, which is very nice. And then these two are, I think that's a Stan Solo C-3PO on card, and like a custom card back Luke in his Bestman outfit. And that again is E.T., little action figure there from, again, Taboo's collection. So a couple items I have from Taboo. And that is my my glass case in a nutshell. Okay, so moving over from the glass case is now my my G.I. Joe collection. Starting with the top over here, we have some kind of modern 12-inch G.I. Joe figures. The box to my HasLab Sky Striker, some Mego, Storm Shadow, and Snake Eyes. And then moving down the next shelf is the HasLab Sky Striker, and it looks like one of these guys knocked over, so I'm going to pick them up. That's those. Then moving down is the HasLab Sky Striker with some of the figures still on card, and some nice mock master cases back there, and then a smattering of vintage G.I. Joes, along with some of the newer modern O-ring re-releases and the ones that came with the Sky Striker. Then these guys are some like 25th anniversary Pilot Joes as well. And we'll move down to the next shelf where I have my vintage O-ring collection. And I think, I tried to display these with like the Dreadnoks all together here in the front. Of course, we have Serpentor, and who could forget my favorite twinsies here. And then a whole bunch of Cobras on one side. And then transitioning onto the Joes, of course we have to have Sergeant Slaughter, Sarge there leading the team, and a bunch of my favorite O-ring Joes on this shelf. But I do have some more O-rings on the shelves below when we're going to start getting into the vehicle. Okay, so moving down from my O-ring Joes here, I do have some play sets. So Checkpoint Alpha, which they still have the little clipboard, which I think goes missing for most people, and an Ostriker, a Vamp, APC. There's a little Cobra Adder that snuck there on that shelf, and there's a G.I. Joe Conquest, and we got Dogfight and the Mud Fighter there, and we have Lowlight, Slaughter's Marauders version in his Lynx. And then moving down to the next shelf, got a Snowcat with some Snow Joes hanging out. I always really loved this version of Stalker. It's one that I had as a kid, and I did replace him, so totally love that. Devilfish. Oh, and here is my Tiger Sting. I love Tiger Force. I know some people either love it or hate it, but I totally love this Tiger Sting, and I can't wait for them to release a classified version of it, and yes, I will buy that one. And then we have a smattering of Cobra vehicles with, that's a reissue, His Tank. That's that new Stinger that came out with the retro O-ring line. This is the Overlord, and then we got a Ferret and a Python Patrol Sting, which my my flag broke off. And then these two are the new O-ring versions of Zarana and Zartan that came with the transforming vehicle that's not coming to mind right now, but I did not have room to put it on display here, so I did it. Moving on from this next shelf, I do have my G.I. Joe Classified Series figures on display. So here's a series of just some of my favorites on the shelf. And then we got Cobra Commander there. Yes, it is a hooded Cobra Commander. This is the Cobra Commander that came with the Hiss tank, and I did put a custom hooded head on him. I think he looks really cool. It's what he looked like in the cartoon, and so, you know, I'm not reading anything else into that. I just think he looks really awesome, and that's a custom throne that he's sitting on. And of course, Sir Tentor with Dr. Mindbender. Then moving down the shelf, we got more classified series, the Red Knox over here. On this side, of course, that group is growing, and then a smattering of other Joes, some Python Patrol figures, some Snow guys. This eel and torpedo actually came fresh from my pool just before filming this toy room tour. Just had to, the weather was so nice out today that had to hit the pool, and these two guys got to splash around in the water just before filming this. So that was a lot of fun. And then some more classified figures on the next shelf. So that does it for my classified collection. And after my classified series figures, I have my Mego 50th anniversary figures, which I absolutely love. I totally love Megos. Bring me back to my childhood. And these new 50th anniversary figures are gorgeous. They look like they came out back in the 70s and 80s, so Mego is killing it with these. And I would give a huge shout out and thank you to Frank Woho from Absolutely Retro, which hooked me up with the last wave of figures. You can see some of them here. Check out absolutelyretro.com because he has a really great website if you're looking for these 50th anniversary Mego figures. And then down below here is some of the new McFarlane DC Superpowers collection, and underneath that, just a smattering of Batman 89 figures and such. This is the Mezco Michael Keaton Bats, which I think he looks incredible. And then just a couple other versions there that you can see, McFarlane and such. Okay, moving on to the next set of shelves. I've got some other kind of more random things, some dolls, some plushies, some strawberry shortcake that you'll see. You know, there's a giant Mego Batman, and some really cute Berenstein Bears. Yes, and if you're wondering, that is Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. I love that show, had to get the doll. And then this is the new release of Rainbow Bright by Little Subjects, so that's a new rag doll that came out from her. And then, of course, this is Lucy from the Vita Vita Benjamin episode, so I thought she was really cute. And then moving down the shelf, I've got a random collection of plushies, but I totally love Smokey Bear and Woodsy Owl, so I had to have some plushies of those. And this right here is my childhood Gizmo. I totally love him. He's adorable, and I'm Super 7 Gizmo, but wanted to move that out of the way because it's blocking Chewy. But I totally love my Gizmo, and he's one of my only childhood survivor plushies, along with one more on the next shelf. And then E.T., and that is a vintage Alf figure there. And then we'll move down. Next up is my Alvin and the Chipmunks shelf. This is my childhood Alvin. One of two childhood surviving plushies that I have, besides Gizmo up there. And so Alvin is very well loved. He was my favorite plushie growing up. You can tell, you know, I carried him with me everywhere because he's very worn, but he got a lot of love, and I always kept him with me. And I always wanted his brothers. I never had his brothers before until recently, until just a couple months ago. I was randomly on eBay, and I don't know what gave me the idea to kind of look up Alvin and the Chipmunks, but this auction came up of these 3 boxed Chipmunks, brand new, still in the box, and I got them for a steal. I couldn't believe how cheap they were. I think I paid like $30 for the set of 3 and like $30 shipping, so it's incredible. And you know, I wanted to open them, but I didn't realize they were actually still cinched into the box, and I can't bring myself to take them out. I just feel really bad because they're in such nice condition. And then I got the little Tony the Tiger here as well. Moving on to the next shelf, I have some vintage strawberry shortcake. And these are the brand new Royal Subjects, like re-release kind of action dolls. A strawberry shortcake and a Rainbow Bright, and that's a vintage Rainbow Bright. And then I've got some kind of re-release or retro versions of My Little Pony right there. And moving on to the next shelf is my wrestling shelf. You can see a whole bunch of LJN figures here. There's a kind of modern guy snuck in between, and then that is a custom Ultimate Warrior because I just couldn't afford an actual LJN, but the rest of them are vintage LJN figures, and I really love them. And then some Superstar figures. Big thank you to Jason Tran for sending me Andre the Giant here. Next up, after my plushie shelf, is kind of a mixture of stuff, but I have my McDonaldland playset here, which I acquired just last year, and this was one of my grail pieces that I've always wanted since I was a kid. So we have, it's complete. The train set actually still works. I do have the rest of the track, and this is just folded in half just to fit on this shelf, but if I wanted to unfold the whole thing and put it on the floor and run the train around in a circle, it does work. You can check out the video on my Instagram page of the train running around. It's totally adorable. But we have Officer Big Neck here in Grimace. He's blocked. He's super cute. Captain Crook is hanging out on the apple pie tree here. And of course we have Mayor McCheese riding in the front of the caboose of the train, and the professor is enjoying a Happy Meal over there in the little McDonald's booth. And Ronald is hanging out on some stilts. And of course, we have a Hamburglar who has been captured in the back of the train, which is really cute. And then this is a vintage Ronald McDonald doll, which I totally love, and he still works. And you know, if you put the little whistle in his mouth, it like makes noise. He's totally adorable. And of course, there's a little grimace in his pocket. That's really cute. And then this is a painting that I did back during COVID when the shutdown happened. I was home, bored, indoors a lot, like a lot of us, and nothing to do. So I was actually playing around on my iPad with some sketching programs, and found a cool little image online of the McDonaldland figures and decided I want to recreate it. So I drew this up on that little sketch program and colored it in digitally on my iPad, and I got it printed on canvas to hang it up. So I really love that, and I think it turned out really cute, and I had to put it on display next to my McDonaldland figures. And I do have some more McDonaldland stuff, part of my collection. Some Funko Pops in here, some vintage Fry Guys, some more of the, I think these were from Remco if I'm not mistaken, but these are recreations of the original Remco McDonaldland playset figures here from like the 1990s, and these are actually really expensive on the aftermarket as well. Some more little vintage McDonaldland figures, and then some vintage McNugget buddies along with those new ones that just came out, and a Hamburglar plushie there that's hanging out in the background. And then moving down the shelf, this is the Fisher-Price barn. I actually bought this as a gift for my husband because he used to have this as a kid, and I wanted to give him something he used to have as a kid. So decided to buy him the Fisher-Price barn, and so this is on display in the toy room. It's got all the little cute animals, and if you open and close the barn doors, it makes a mooing sound. It's totally adorable. And then I have some more My Little Ponies, so I know where to put those, so had to display the little shelf there with the extra pony figures, so really cute. And then here I have my X-Men figures from Marvel Legends, which look really great, and the new Marvel Legends X-Men 97 collection, which is growing as well. And then finally in this last cubby is a Fisher-Price boat set full of G.I. Joe reaction sailors with shipwreck driving the boat. So had to have a whole bunch of sailors. These are super cute. And then finally we have the last section of the toy room display here. That is this is going to be the space that is reserved. Let me turn the light on for the cat's lair when it arrives in October or thereabouts. In the meantime, I just I put some other stuff on here. So I have my G.I. Joe vamp and some more of my Thundercats figures on the Super 7 Thunder Tank. And so they're hanging out. Got some guys here and a couple of the animals of the Warrior Kingdom, because they are cats after all, so I thought they could hang out together. These are the reissues of the 4 Turtles giant figures. And then I wanted to be useful with my space, so I do have some more cubbies down below with some random figures. So this is the AJ Foyt team from Tonka from back in the day, and some other Fisher-Price figures as well. This is kind of my homage to food and cereal guys, which I really love. And then these are the new Delta 17 figures. Big shout out to Ken and Steve from Delta 17. Ken from Toy Connections. If you haven't watched Toy Connections, check him out on YouTube. He has an awesome YouTube channel. And Ken is working with Steve and the rest of the team on Delta 17. So these are a brand new O-ring line. Check them out. We did a really cool review on them. And go to delta17toys.com, or you can head over to Toy Habits, and we have a site shop page for them as well. And here's some Alf and ET figures, Popeye, and some random leftover Toxic Crusaders. Also in the center of the room, I do have a sofa sitting in here. Some more little random plushies. It looks like strawberry shortcake. Got a little tired there, and so did Garfield. But there's a sofa in the middle of the room, so I can sit and enjoy and watch and enjoy my toys. Because after all, they are here on display for our enjoyment. So I figured I might as well put a sofa there. And then the last part of our tour is going to be in my closet, where I have storage, but I do have carded figures that I don't have space to put on the walls. So there is some Motu Origins, some commemorative figures as well along the top here. Some more Motu Origins. You got Frogmonger, stuff like that. Some additional totes. And then I'm going to move over to the other side where I have carded retro G.I. Joes on these Mockmaster cases. Some of these are from the HasLab set you'll recognize, or from some of the 2-packs. And then that one is from the 25th anniversary. So that'll do it. I've got some random cases and things up here, which I failed to show you. I've got the stacked Star Wars cases too. But that's the toy room tour. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll give you a little message at the end. I hope you enjoyed this toy room tour. This was a long time in the making. I've worked really hard to get here. It was a lifelong dream of mine to be able to have a space like this to display my toys, and getting this far in my career, in my life, and just saving and scrimping and just working really hard to be able to move into a house where I had the space to do this is a dream come true for me. And the fact that I could actually enjoy all of my toys in an amazing space such as this just makes me super happy. And also to have a space to get to share in the live streams with all you guys, right? So again, my space back there where I do my lives with Michael every week and enjoy time with you guys in the community. It has been a joy and a pleasure to bring you this toy room tour. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below.